think it's time for another theme week here on Random Review, and something of a more cohesive theme than side week. I just completed a set of Transformers I never thought I would have the chance to complete, so I figured we're going to look at 3 of them, those being the Beast Wars 2 Cyborg Beasts. Now, I talked about one in the form of Thrustinator already, so we're going to cover the other 3 for the week, starting here with the Wolf-Cyborg Max B. This is kind of lunacy. I love the aesthetic on the Cyborg Beasts. Okay, for those unaware, for Beast Wars 2, they took some of their all-mechanical characters and upgraded them into half-machine, half-animal hybrids that you see before you. This used to be BB, now Max B, and of course it is done as a remold out of the Wolfang mold, which looks absolutely insane. I absolutely love the aesthetic. It's very Transmetal too, but a lot more cohesive, and it's so much better distinction between what's animal parts and what's mechanical parts. I really think this is like what Transmetal 2 really should have strived to be. Now, for the mold itself, as pointed out to me by my friend who saw this thing when it first got here, this is very fat for a wolf. This is not in any way correctly proportioned whatsoever. And that was kind of Wolfang's thing. He was just very bulky for a wolf, and K9 even bulkier for a German Shepherd. As you can see, he's very thick, and that's just the result of having to hide a robot mode inside of him. I'm going to give you a close-up of the head. As you can see, very well painted all the way around. A lot going into the mechanical details. A little bit left for the organic parts, but man, they went all out on the machine nature of these things. All the yellows and reds making all those spots pop, selectively leaving off the paint from several parts like this gear here to make them stand out as a different mechanical piece. You see all the little intricacies and all the little wires painted in. I mean, it's an absolutely awesome aesthetic. Really like how this is done. And it's going to a lot of efforts to be asymmetrical, as you can see, very half and half on the wolf head. But you can also see it back here where the rear wolf leg has actually been done up completely mechanical. Not the thigh, though, where on the other leg, it's the opposite. And then you can see the tail, where all the wires are sticking through and ending off on this huge mace on the end. It's absolutely nuts. I love the look of this toy. Absolutely love it. And you can see here on the back, all the detail going in as well. A lot of silver paint, and we get some purple too. So a little bit of extra color, just to make this guy pop a little bit more. They're way more colorful than the Beast Wars toys usually are. I think that's another reason why I like them so much. Man, it works so well. And I absolutely, I'm going to keep gushing over these through the whole week because I absolutely love it. This is so hitting my aesthetic taste so well. Let's see, there's not really much to complain about other than as Beast Wars toys go, he's not very articulated in this mode. Nothing really moves except for the hips that will become the robot mode legs. Everything else is pretty much just pegged in place and very static. So he just stands there pretty much. Now, you'll notice he does have a port on the top for storing a missile. And ladies and gentlemen, I have to demonstrate the missile launcher. Yeah, I try to avoid it whenever I can, but in this case, there is no avoiding it. So we are going to risk sending this missile to the negative zone, along with the last Fantastic Four movie. And this for a very specific reason. For starters, when I push the center button down, of course, the missile does fire off. But if I press it down farther, we also get an added gimmick of these blades sticking out from the sides. It's a little bit stuck on mine. They normally deploy at the same time. I like that the one trigger does both the missile launching and the blades flipping out. I always like multi-use triggers like that. Makes the gimmick feel a lot more intuitive and a little bit more interesting. But look at that. It's very shrapnel, isn't it? These huge pincers coming out. Really, like, this design wasn't manic enough before, and now we got this going on. I do like that it's large enough that it comes in front of the wolf. So it actually looks like he could be slicing something directly in front of him. Something he's holding on to with his teeth, something of that nature. So that's kind of cool. That I really dig. Okay, so all of that said, we get to robot mode, and he does piece form somewhat, because he's got one tail that becomes a weapon, and the back becomes one big shield. Kind of said it before, shields are, kind of code for we don't know what to do with this piece of shell. But, it'll work out. You just watch. So we will transform him into proper robot mode parts now by folding out the legs. And Wolf Fang's mold always had this interesting way of dealing with the beast mode legs for robot mode, which is to just incorporate them, which is kind of weird. But I kind of like leaving a little bit of that beast in the robot mode, just as a kind of reminder of what he is. So we'll unpeg these parts, the front legs, so we can swing all of that down. While the arms are still folded up, we'll go ahead and split the head, which gives me enough room to rotate them around to act as the shoulder guards. Fold those all the way out and unfold at the elbow joint. We'll move the beast legs down to kind of flow with the design a bit. Hang on. These have to go out a little bit so we can squeeze the torso down together. Those go to the sides. That goes to there. And just like that, he is pretty much done. That is our Maxby in robot mode, carrying forward a very insane look from the beast mode. And this toy is still hitting me in very, very right and wrong ways now that I think of it. But now we get a gooder. I about said gooder. I'm working on my vocabulary. It's very difficult coming up with new words after so long. Which reminds me, I really dig this toy. So here is the head screaming furious at the world for this horrific abomination of man and machine and nature that he has become. Molded screaming faces like this never really quite work for me, because there's always this little factor of, well, he's just kind of always screaming, but he seems like the guy who would always be screaming. Does it look like he's having a good time today? Like, he's got this Borg thing going on. He's like half beast, half machine. Almost as he is a machine beast. I don't know, not catchy. But you can see, yeah, he is not a pleasant guy. He is not having a good time. And I don't really blame him. I love how much purple gets revealed in this mode. Really makes the robot mode stand out. And we can still see a lot of the nice details. I like how there's so much machinery here, keeping the asymmetrical design going. But you can it still gets across a lot of that extra machine detail from that mode. And we can still see a little bit of it, of course. The leg is still mechanical and whatnot. And there's some mechanical bits that are a little bit easier to see here. Still looking really, really good. And the head is just like absolutely ludicrous. I love just like how like wicked they came up, how they made all of these guys look. And you'll see more coming throughout the week. For articulation, we'll go ahead and do it now. His head is ball jointed, but it's quite restricted and very tight, so it's not a whole lot of range to it. The arms, despite having a lot of kibble going on, actually do have a good range of motion at the shoulder. There's also a bicep rotation, as well as a 180-degree elbow, thanks to transformation scheme. And these do lift out of the way quite well, so if you need a little bit of extra range, you can do that. These hip pieces, there's nothing you can do about them. They just kind of hang there, and they do get in the way of the arms, so there's not a whole lot you can do about that. The ball joints in the hips are fairly nice, though. Lots of good range there. And really good knee, in spite of having both robot and beast leg interacting as one in order to accomplish that look. So, well-articulated toy. I'm a fan. Now, let's talk accessory. Now, I already fired off one of the missiles. Where did that go, anyway? I hope a vibrant purple hook, anchor-shaped missile did not go completely into the ether here. You know, I'll find it. It's later. It's around here somewhere. I was trying to find it because he does have this thing going on where he can store his missiles on his back in these little grooves that'll fit them in, creating spikes on his stomach. And it's a little bit more effective when you can see both of them because they have this rib cage effect, which kind of makes me realize I probably should have shown that first and then demonstrated his little missile fire gimmick. Well, you get the idea. I'm sure you can imagine an extra spike or two sticking out. So let's go ahead and show off added weaponry. For starters, we can fold a handle down here and create this massive gun. Like, one of the things about Wolfang's mold is his gun, because it was this big bushy tail, was always ridiculously sized for him and very oddly shaped. So this gun is very awkward for him to hold. I will give the designers credit. In spite of making it even bulkier than Wolfang's original, it's actually shaped to hook around the shoulder guard. So he can still point it straight forward without anything getting in the way and the parts clashing. That's pretty intelligently designed. So that one I give huge credit for. Thank you, Takara. And then we have the shield, which we can actually plug in here. It's got a forward mounted peg here, which come on, what? Oh. Kibble's getting in the way. I was trying to do that without looking, but we can't avoid it. So go ahead and plug that in. And it gets absolutely huge and even bigger if the blades are deployed. That's one of the themes you will see among the cyborg beasts as the week goes on. Absolutely insanely sized weapons. It's kind of a motif of theirs, and he carries it. Well, he carries it. Let's just say that. Because they're just like the gigantic weapon thing is just like, I don't know. Luckily, the pegs that hold it in beast mode are still viable here, so you can actually shrapnel him and have them hanging off the back, or just fold them down and have the shield be stored away, which I generally prefer, just because it is very unwieldy, and I don't really have a place I can peg in to actually make it look like a shield, so it just looks like a big claw weapon. Which does remind me, just for the sake of saying it, you can also rotate the gun around and create a mace weapon for him as well, which he does seem the type to just bludgeon people with big spiked balls, doesn't he? So that is our Beast Wars 2 Japan exclusive Max B. An incredibly insane mold, and one I really wish came to the US so he wasn't so expensive to find. And you'll find they will probably only get more expensive as we go on. So next time, even more insane cyborg animals, because this is like one of my favorite series of figures ever, and I have to show them all off now that I have them. Okay, I've been looking for the missile for 5 minutes, and I can't find it. I might need Reed Richards' phone number. And a portal to the negative zone.